Yeah, this is a great case because it definitely is bizarre. Let's start. Basically, a really pleasant gentleman walks into the emergency department. He's slightly on the larger side. He weighs about 300 pounds. His belly's out to here. He can't really bend down really well, and he has some back pain. And he tells me he thinks he has an ingrown toenail. So I don't think much of that. We see that often. But as I bend down from here to go down to start looking at his toe, a complete different smell. I know something is not right. As I take off his shoe, there is a sock that is completely matted down on his foot, and it looks like if you took your sock and you dipped it in yogurt or pudding, kind of like this, and it's just stuck on his foot. And now I'm like, okay, this is not right. I can't pull it off because it's stuck on his foot. So the next thing we do is we get a bottle of saline with some betadine, and we have him kind of dip his foot in. As soon as he puts his foot in, these things kind of float up to the top, and I'm like, what's this stuff that's floating up to the top? I look closely, and boom, maggots. So,
hey, that's why we have this segment, Bizarre in the ER. This stuff happens.
Yeah, but look, when you see maggots, you know that actually they're doing some good because they're trying to help clean the wound, but you know it's gonna be bad.
There's dead tissue in there somewhere.
So now, as I remove the sock, tearing from the smell, obviously, there is no discernible toes. I don't see anything that looks like a foot. It looks like if you took your hand and you made a fist, it looks like there's just a nub of a foot left. And then I turn to him, I go, what, where have you been? I mean, why didn't you come earlier? And he's like, well, a few days ago I heard a pop. And when I heard the pop, I thought it was my nail working its way through and it felt better. And I go, a pop? And he goes, yeah, and actually this thing popped out. And he puts his hand in his pocket and he pulls this paper towel out, and I open it up, and what it was actually his toe that had popped out and was on the ground, and he picked it up, thought it was some foreign body that was in his foot. So this poor guy went from thinking it's an ingrown toenail to now having a life-saving procedure that's necessary to actually amputate his foot because it's that bad of an infection.
So he had actually developed true gangrene, osteomyelitis, infection of the bone down there, auto amputation. This is a scary story, but I think highlights what some people deal with. People who have neuropathy or are obese who either can't see their feet, don't feel their feet. This happens more often than people want to admit.
Yeah, foot care is so crucial. We see this, unfortunately, in the emergency department all the time, and small things actually become humongous things, as in this case.
So one of the big takeaways here are if you're suffering with one of these illnesses, don't just leave the sock on. I'm being serious. Take that sock off, examine it. If you can't physically examine it, have your spouse, a friend, a neighbor, come examine the bottom of your foot, because a lot of times these wounds, they go unattended, they lead to bigger and bigger infections, ultimately amputation. Dr. Dorian, what an interesting case, and actually one we can all learn from. Thank you, sir.